Could you tell a pagan from a Jewish person or a Christian in antiquity? Hi, everybody. My name is Robyn Walsh. I'm a scholar of New Testament and early Christianity and part of Paths in Biblical Studies. And the answer to this one is kind of common sense. It depends. Certainly, there were regional variations in dress, and we only know a little bit about this. In some regions, it was more common, for example, for women to veil or for certain colors and dyes and fabrics to be used than in other places. And certainly, hairstyles also changed. So, for example, in Rome, among elite women, often very complex hairstyles, especially if you've ever seen the Flavian hairstyle, which looks almost like a beehive on the top of their heads. This involved a lot of labor, a lot of curling, including adding in a weave to these women's hairstyles. And so, in a way, we might say that dress varied not necessarily due to religion per se. I'll give you some examples, though, in a moment, but actually class and other factors. So, some examples the kippah, or what we might call the yarmulke, that is not necessarily in style or something that was common or required for Jewish men until around maybe the 2nd century or later. So certainly not necessarily in Jesus's time, so that wouldn't have been a marker. And while some Jewish women certainly veiled, and we have some literature on this from Philo and others, this was also a common practice among some Roman women. And by the time we get early Christian art, women who are associated with early Christianity are also veiling. So I would say that you wouldn't necessarily know walking down the street if somebody was of a particular religious tradition or another, unless they had some kind of unique marker on them by their own choice, not necessarily as a requirement. Now, the baths are a different story. I think that one area in which you might be able to tell somebody's ethnicity and therefore also potentially their religious affiliation would be in the public baths. So, for example, if a Jewish man who had been circumcised went into the baths, that would be a telltale marker for them of their religious affiliation because they had gone through that particular rite. Now, of course, in antiquity, Jewish men are not the only individuals circumcising in antiquity. Men from North Africa, including in Egypt, also circumcised. So this would also be somewhat contextual. Egyptian women also circumcised, although there wouldn't have really been an opportunity to reveal that in a public space like the Roman baths. And interestingly, there is no evidence that Jewish women ever circumcised. And there's actually an excellent book on this from about 2005 by Shia Cohen called Why Aren't Jewish Women Circumcised? So when we are even asking this question about dress and religion, I think not only do we have to fold in the issue of class and regional distinction, as I've mentioned, but I think we also have to realize that often we are talking about men when we ask that question, because there's an entire population of Jewish individuals, women, who didn't participate in an act like circumcision. So it's one thing to keep in mind that when we even ask this question about dress, oftentimes our default in our minds is thinking about men. And so that's one reason I want to mention women in this video, just to make sure we have a more expansive view. And then lastly, even on this question of circumcision and the baths, which I've raised here, I will note that not all Jewish men circumcised. And also, we have some evidence from the Second Temple period among Jewish men who were questioning whether or not Hellenization was the right way to go with Judaism at the time, especially as we move into the Roman Empire. Some Jewish men actually did try to reverse their circumcisions. So not even circumcision itself was a definitive marker necessarily, and wasn't always universally observed. And then, of course, if you read the letters of Paul, he suggests that circumcision is part of the covenant between the Jewish men, Jewish people, but Abraham and Jewish men, and their God, and not part of the covenant that's required for Christians, which is why Christians end up baptizing and not circumcising. There's more to say on that, and there's more to talk about with Paul, but I'm going to bracket that for now, and I'll probably talk about that in a video next month. If you're interested in any of these topics, please check out bartehrman.com/BSA Learning. BSA stands for Biblical Studies Academy. There we have a variety of resources, including courses, discussion boards, and related kinds of materials for anybody who wants to delve deeper into the study of the New Testament, the Hebrew Bible, and the biblical world. So please check out bartehrman.com/BSA learning. Hope to see you there. Egyptian women. I don't know what I said. Or video. Oh, oh no. I can't remember what I said. Like, hold on, let me check. Called Why can't I get this one? Sorry. I am sorry that was such a bad one. But I gotta catch a plane, so sorry.